But at this stage of the season, just got to get the job done, I guess.
Yes, and I think we deserve to win the match as well. I think we were the better team. We didn't concede anything apart from that strange save from David in the first half against the team that, in my opinion, are the best attacking team in the league. And yeah, we scored the goal. We had so many big opportunities and big open chances to finish many more actions than we did actually. But overall, a very important game that is going our way.
Below you, it's incredibly tight, isn't it? All the teams pushing.
Yeah, that's why I think from now on is how also we manage a little bit emotion in terms of if you win a game, you see yourself close to the target. If you don't win, you see yourself far from the target. But until the end, it will be like this. We have still 9 games to go, but now it's time to recover energy for the final part.
Why didn't that second goal come? Just lack of fortune?
Yeah, lack of fortune, lack of the final pass and the right decision when the situation was so open because we had so many of them today. Unfortunately, we didn't finish them.
And if you can't win the league and you're still in the chase, I know you won't give that up, you need to finish in the Champions League. This is a massive win for you today because there's a big gulf now between you and 5th, 6th.
Yeah, it was a big game, obviously, and we wanted to win and get that feeling again before the international break against a top team. We've done it, and let's go game by game.
I don't think between us and them there was big difference in terms of clear chances, and then at the end we lost, from set pieces.
Yeah, we'll talk about Chelsea in detail shortly. Very good evening to Troy and Wayne. Good to see you, fellas. Arsenal, good value for the win today?
Yeah, I think so. I think they were the better team. It wasn't a great game of lots of quality, but Arsenal certainly had more intent to win the game and fully deserved it, I felt.
It was a pretty tight game, wasn't it, Troy?
Yeah, it was, and I think Maresca summed it up there. Obviously, with the set pieces, that was it. But to me, just felt like Arsenal always had a threat where Chelsea weren't that great going forward, and we're going to get into that in a minute.
Yeah. Wayne, you picked out a very interesting tactical battle in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I just felt that Reece James had a job to do today, and he was man marking Declan Rice, which, coming back from injury, is very difficult to do. And I felt he struggled all game. He's trying to put into play the role his manager has given, but I think he struggled with it. And I think if we have a look at it here, so you look at Reece James and Declan Rice. So Reece is staying close to him. He should be where I've moved it back to here. But if you look at it here now, as it plays on, so Reece James is always thinking of Declan Rice. No one thought to his head. Here, look. Just here, he's not even looking at the ball. He vacates the middle of the pitch. Now, Declan Rice is very clever with his movements. You can see he's telling Partey to come into the space where Reece James should be. Thomas Partey comes into the space, receives the ball with no one near him, gets turned. But this was a theme all game, so nothing comes of this one here. But again, Reece James is just following Declan Rice around everywhere. So if you watch again here, Declan Rice now pulling Reece James out wide. Thomas Partey again coming into the space which Reece James leaves. Now you end up with Chelsea players getting moved all over the pitch. Thomas Partey gets the ball, turns, gets to the Chelsea back line. On another day, it's a real big opportunity for Arsenal. But this one was really interesting. If you look at Declan Rice and you look at Reece James and Jadon Sancho, his position here. So if you play it on, so what happens here is Reece James, all he has to do is communicate with Sancho, and Sancho can take Declan Rice, but he doesn't do that. Reece James follows him again, leaves 34 yards. He's ran just to try and stay close to Declan Rice. Lewis Skelly sees that. He comes into the space. Now Jadon Sancho has to do more work to get back into the space. So Chelsea rotating out of possession, which is never good. Declan Rice has dragged Reece James out wide. But again here, if you watch Declan Rice, so Reece James has done all that work to get close to him, but then switches off. Declan Rice makes a good run forward, which he has been doing a lot over the last few weeks. Gets to the dangerous position, gets turned, pulls the ball back, and it's a good opportunity for Arsenal. So I just felt it was a job too big for Reece James to play.
Yeah, and then just to continue that with Reece James here with Moreno, obviously he should be tight. You look at Nkunku there, he should really be going, facing forward, trying anything short ball he has to go and get after. For some reason he decides to go back into the mess. Reece James just loses his man. Between the two of them, it goes in. But Wayne, you're not happy with the goalie, are you?
Yeah, I just think if you look at the goalkeeper, he's getting involved too much with all the other players, and now he's taking a backward step, which means he can't get the elevation to stop the ball going the back of the net. I think if he allows himself and gives himself a little bit of space, even though there's bodies around him, then he's front-footed and potentially might favour.
Yeah, that's a good spot, that. Chelsea have now lost to Troy 4 successive Premier League away games, winless in 7 on the road. And they were really poor going forward, weren't they?
Yeah, very toothless going forward. You're going to see a lot here now. They don't have Nicholas Jackson or Cole Palmer in this game, but they did try and press with Enzo Fernandez, or he gets through. But me and Wayne just noticed when we was watching this game, if it was kind of snatched and dragged, like he's never set there, never looks like he's going to go and score. Again, lovely ball over the top. Look, they're out there through Sancho. If they had a striker, they'd be in the box, but they can't. Neto pulls to the edge of the box here. As it comes back to him, he's never set. Look, there's loads of bodies in front of him. Snatches at it. And Cuckoo snatched at it again. It finally works all the way to Cucurella. And I think David Raya thought, you know what, let me try and help him and throw it in my goal, see if they can help. But if you look, they're shooting in these areas. It's more from hope than actually going with any intent to do it again. Enzo again doing that there. But Neto, a winger, you'd expect him to move the centre-half here. He doesn't, tries to shoot through. And this was the one really that summed it up for me with Neto. Look, you've got the centre-back backtrack. You get at him, he does it, he hits it over wide. And then, Wayne, you noticed this, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I just thought, you know, it's in the 91st minute of the game and Chelsea need the goal, obviously, to get back in the game to try and get to come away with a point. But there was no movement. We've highlighted the attacking players here. There's a lack of movement, a lack of creativity, a lack of invention, and the tempo's slow. And then eventually, but Arsenal in a good shape. They try and force a pass. Arsenal win the ball, get control of the game again, and see the game out comfortably. So I just felt there was no real desire to real push Arsenal and try and get something out of the game towards the end.
Yeah, and look at this, lowest expected goals under Enzo Maresca, Troy. Yeah,
and I think it's a very cheap line to say, no Nicholas Jackson, no Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer played for a lot of these games, and when they're not good, Chelsea, they don't look like they're going to score, and that's something they have to do, have a plan B.
Yeah. Let me just ask you then, Wayne, what you think, because Enzo Maresca said he thinks they're on the right path.
Yeah, no, I think obviously they've signed a lot of players and it's still a very young team, and I think there's been some really good signs from Chelsea this season. I think just that lack of experience as a group is probably catching up with them a little bit, but I do think over the next couple of years we're going to see Chelsea elevating themselves again, getting towards the top of the league again.
And of course they are missing Cole Palmer, we have to remember that.
Yes, but Cole Palmer's been off the last couple of weeks as well, so maybe he's been carrying injury, maybe a lot of games it's hard for a young player to keep doing and being consistent. Nicholas Jackson is a big one for them, but again, for over £1 billion spent, to only have one striker in the building is pretty poor, so something they're going to have to rectify going forward. And if they want to be challenging, and this man can talk to it a lot better than me, but you need a proper goalkeeper and a proper centre-half, bits of the pitch that I think they need to...
That's true, they need a spine, don't they? A bit like Arsenal, really. That's the reason why they're 12 points behind Liverpool.
Yeah, you do. Well, if you look at Chelsea throughout the years, obviously Peter Cech, John Terry, Makelele, Drogba, Lampard, you've got the spine of the team is solid and experienced, and they ran the team, they ran the dressing room. Chelsea at the minute don't have that, so I think it will take a bit of time, of course, but I do think they're on a good path.
OK, good stuff. Thank you very much.
That was brilliant, personality from Mikel Arteta. That was alluding to, of course, a week ago when Wright and I were in the studio with Owen, and he did something similar at the end. He didn't like the last question at Manchester United, did he? So,
it was a lot better today. A win does that to you, though, doesn't it?
It does. It makes you a lot happier for that interview after the game, I can assure you, But no, it was good. That was a little bit of a... one for the defender, one for himself.
Yes, yes.
Well, you can hear what he's saying, with the players missing. He thinks any team in Europe would be badly affected by the numbers he hasn't got.
Yeah, but for some reason, Steve, like people, you assemble a team at the start of the season, you hope that they stay fit, but then when players do get injured, for some reason, you mention it and say, well, everyone gets injuries. And they do, but it affects you. Look at Tottenham. It's affected Tottenham. It affects everybody. That's affected Arsenal this season with what Arsenal's ambitions were to try and finish the season. There's no way you expect to finish the season without getting injured, which happened for us last season. We had our main players all fit. But this season, unfortunately, we've got injuries to players, and everybody else, like he rightly mentioned, is like pitching in to try and do their job. This is like what Mikel Marino's done today. And you just have to hang in there every game and see how it goes for yourself.
It's like a bonus for him, for Arteta, that, because he would never have said, let's have a look at Merino as a centre-forward in pre-season, just in case. That wouldn't have come into his mind. Yeah, but he gets forced down that road.
But what Wrighty's saying is it's not a bonus he really wanted to do. He'd much rather have Kai Havertz there.
Oh, of course.
Jesus,
Every manager wants your top players on the pitch. But the fact is that he's now going, where do I go for this striker? Where do I go with a semi-striker? And he's gone, you know what, let's have a look at him. And he's done brilliant.
I think Gaffer's probably looked at his technical capability because he's always looking around. He's very good on the ball. And you think to yourself, you know something? Maybe I can move him up front because he takes care of the ball up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you were saying earlier on, Gaffer, about holding it so as people could come and support you. And he's obviously got that about his game.
Yeah. In terms of keeping going, what he said, we just need to keep asking the question of Liverpool. They've got within 12 now, having played the same number of games. But I was saying to Wrighty last weekend, it's important to finish as close to Liverpool as possible, to finish second, to finish on the up when you're looking at recruitment as well, aren't you, for next season?
Yes, of course. I mean, that's it's important that, though, Ian said that he felt before the game that they're going to be looking over their shoulder. Well, they've got to make sure, as I was saying, they've got to be there just in case there's a big trip up from Liverpool. Psychologically, they've gone, as I said, they've gone out of the Champions League. If they lose today in the League Cup, they're out the FA Cup. Now it's from 4 trophies to 1. And they're favourites, they're hot favourites. But it's in their hands. And if they do trip up, kicking themselves, if they take their foot off the pedal and put all their energy and all their thoughts into Real Madrid in the Champions League. So they've got to just be hanging around. They've got to be there just in case Liverpool do go bang, bang, 2 losses in the league. Yeah. Suddenly, them points become, now there's pressure. But they've got to be there putting that pressure on. If that gap today had gone to 18 end of story. And it probably still is end of story, but you've got to be out there with a fact of, like, what do we do next year? Who are we going to bring in next year to improve? We had injuries in that position. Yeah, we have got to get a striker. Everyone's been telling us, but I do need a striker in there. And we go hell for leather to get the right player.
You know, I'd love it to be, because I've almost resigned myself to the fact that it's not maybe going to happen for us this season. We might finish second again, but I'd love it to be where, you know, Liverpool did for some reason slip up 2 games. Arsenal, you know, and then we have to play them in May.
You're at home to Fulham next in a couple of weeks. They've got the Merseyside derby, you know, just
Well,
suddenly it's 9 and then
it just doesn't feel like it's going to be.
No,
it should be that easy like Liverpool. I just hope that there's a twist in it, and Arsenal, like the gaffer said, because this is the main thing, are there to pick up any pieces.
Yeah. They've got to be, and they owe it to themselves every week and week out. They're not got their best players out there at the moment, so you've got to find a way through. It's like even in matches when you're not playing well, you've got to find a way to win. They won today, you know, be it from a set play, but they've won. They found a way to win. You've got to get that on a run of games when you're not playing at your best, because you're not going to play at your best if your best players are not playing. Yeah. But you've got to find a way somehow. You've got to change. I like the fact that they scored the set play differently. It was a different set play. We hadn't seen that all season. Near post, bomb, and they get the goal from it. So that's a positive for them, really is.
Let's nip back to the Emirates. William Gallas, double Premier League winner, played for both of these clubs with distinction, of course. Spoke to us before the game. What did you make of it today, William?
I think Arsenal did the minimum today. They get the 3 points. I think that was the most important for them. They scored on the set pieces, and in the second half, it looked like they let Chelsea to have the ball and just to defend and try to play in counter-attack.
And as we were saying, they've got to find a way with the injuries at the moment. Mikel Arteta has suddenly weighed in with 4 goals in 7 games.
Yeah, it's good. It's good for him, you know, and because he plays now in front, he could score a few goals. But as we know, to play against some teams, you know, for example, today it was Chelsea, he scored 3 goals before against small team. It's okay, but when you have to play against biggest club, it will be difficult for him maybe to score.
Yeah. I must ask you, in terms of that set-piece goal that settled it, if you were in the Chelsea back 4 today, William, how disappointed would you be with the way they conceded that goal?
I will be always disappointed, because you can't concede a goal like this, you know, to let one player to go in front and to get the ball. You need to have more communication between your teammate, and what happened today, you know, for Chelsea, it was not enough. And I'm sure the manager, when he went back to the dressing room, he was upset.
We were talking about Arsenal finding a way to score goals without Cole Palmer and Nicholas Jackson today. 2 shots on target. They were both from Marc Cucurella. Short term without Palmer, is that a concern in terms of scoring goals for Chelsea?
I think they have to find a solution, because today we saw, when Cole Palmer is not here, it's very difficult for Chelsea to create things, and it's not enough, especially for the club like Chelsea. But now they have to think about what is going to happen for the next season. If they have to buy that striker who can score at least 20, 30 goals for them, because I'm sure the next season they will try to compete for the title. So they have to find the right solution.
Indeed. Thank you very much indeed, William.
Thank
Good
you.
to speak to you. Owens and Maresca only a couple of weeks ago, actually, when I was doing a game at the Bridge, said to me, we do not want to be over-reliant on Cole Palmer. As good as he is, we have to, even when he's in the team, we have to find goals from other areas.
Absolutely. I think you've got goals out of, Neto should be a player that can score goals, And Cuckoo, when he comes in, I don't understand why he didn't play down the centre, but he's got to become a goal scorer. That's the reason why he was there, and he's had injuries, but he was coming on from the bench, and I'm thinking, he's a good replacement as a number 9, but he's playing out wide, and it's almost like I feel there's a semi sort of solution there, but they've not really gone with it with him as a number 9, so that then Neto can play wide and they can have the right and the balance it off, and if Palmer's playing, then you can release him, because he's got a little bit of pace, isn't he? He's not a slouch. Yeah. So I didn't understand that. I think. But they've got to, Cucurella's coming in and scoring goals, strangely enough. But Reece James is one that I think, if he's going to play in that central midfield player, Fernandes, they've got to come up with some important goals. Yeah. Those type of players, the emphasis is on them, because Palmer is, rightly so, he was never going to keep that standard that he's set for a whole season. And now, the fact that he's got a slight injury and he rests for a couple of weeks possibly will do him the world of good, actually. I'm not saying that that's the reason why he's been pulled out, but he didn't play today. If he'd have been fit, I'm sure he'd have played. But that will do the lad. He looks like he needs a rest. He needs to be away from football for 10 days, training, just get his mind back together, and he'll go again. He's such a good player. And I think that'll work in their favour, I really do.
Especially when you hope that before the season's out for Chelsea, if they've got any chance of getting into the Champions League, and with it being 5 places now, it's a great opportunity, especially as they're not playing well, their away form's poor, they're playing poor. I thought it was a poor performance. If they can get Jackson back and Madueke back, and then, obviously put Cole Palmer back in the team, I think that then gives them back their edge in the way that they were beating teams at the start of the season, and how quickly they were breaking on teams, and how they were scoring goals with ease. So they need to get that going as soon as possible, because they've got the players to be able to do it. And this season's a massive opportunity for someone to get into that 5th. Massive opportunity.
I just think with the away performances and the lack of points that they've got, which is bad, isn't it? It's poor.
2 from 21.
2 from 21. That's not good enough. So if you just keep playing away from home, possibly they got the players to play a back 5. They could go into a back 5, a back 3 in possession, and put your wing back. So I'm thinking you got to look at that just away from home to start making it different for the opponents. But at the moment, it seems this is a pattern. 2 from 20 odd points is not good enough. We're just going to keep playing that way. We've got injuries. No, change the shape. Perhaps not at home at the Bridge, where you want to go a back 4 and then get more bodies forward, but change the shape. They've got the right players to do it. Reece James can play wing-back if you want. Cucurella's perfect for a wing-back role. He's got the back 3 there. You can mix and match and do what you want in midfield if you want to play slightly different up the top. So, for me, that's what I would be looking at, just away from home. Play differently.
Sounds
interesting. Let's go back to the Emirates. Let's speak to the man who won the game, Mikel Merino, the match winner. Mikel, good to see you. How good does that feel today, winner in London Derby?
Hello, good afternoon. It feels amazing. Always winning at home, even more in a London derby against a really good side. I think we are really happy. It was a tough battle today. 1-0 win for us, clean sheet again. So buzzing for the result, and hopefully we can get a momentum after this game. And luckily for us, we have now international break, but well, it's more time to, savor the victory.
Mikel, how are you finding having to play up front, having to use different a different style into what you're normally used to, and having the pressure of having to be the guy that maybe scores the goals for us?
Yeah, I mean, it's way different to playing as a midfielder, but I don't feel that pressure, to be honest. I think not being a striker is relief for me, because I don't feel the pressure like I should score every single game. The main thing for me is trying to help the team in the small details, from the pressing to positioning myself in the best spots for my teammates to be better, maybe drop when it's needed to get the ball and give some calmness with possession.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a different role to what I'm used, but I think I'm adapting really good.
Yes.
Mikel, Glenn Hoddle here. Congratulations on the 3 points. Just on the goal, normally the pack of 5 go to the back post. You changed it today. You flooded the near post, and then you get across that front man. Did you just flick it to an area, or were you trying to score?
Well, to be honest,
you was trying to score.
I was trying to get the ball in an area closer to the goal.
Yes.
Obviously, in that situation, you don't really know where are the spaces. You have the small box, the 6-yard box reference, so you try to flick it and put it near the goal. If somebody's there and can make a tap in, is great. If you score directly, is great. But I think the tough part for me is just to up the body and put the right shape to try to flick it. And I think I did it, and I was lucky today.
Yes.
And in that role, 7 games in all competitions, 4 goals. You must be delighted with that since the manager asked you to take up the reins.
Yeah, surprised. I think with this team, we have so much quality with the players around the striker that it makes the job easier for me. I'm not focused on scoring goals, as I said before, but they keep coming, so they're welcome.
And do you feel finally that responsibility up there in the absence of others? Are you thriving on that?
Yeah, I mean, everybody feels their responsibility. When someone of the big names that we have on the team is missing, everybody has to step up, and now it's my turn as a striker. Next game could be the turn of other player, but the main thing is that everybody, takes responsibility and tries to do a better job, get together. And now I'm doing it. It's my turn to try to help the team. The coach asked me to play in this position, and whatever the team needs.
Well, you certainly helped them today. Match winner. Well done. Thank you very much indeed. Good to speak to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shane.
That's Mikel Marino at the Emirates. Now, before we move on, Wrighty talking about his goal there, we've gone back to 1993, 94 actually, 93-94 season, to give you this to look at compared to Mikel Marino's today. Who does the header better?
Yeah. I think I've done it much better than Mikel Marino.
Well, I think the opposition manager that day should have done his homework better, personally.
I'm just looking at it thinking, I know that kid. I was manager that day. I said, I know what I said before the game. I said, let them cross it, because Wright, can't head the ball.
Right, well, there you have a laugh now, because we're going to watch Spurs' goals. So
oh, dear.
Yeah, Fulham, more importantly, 200th Premier League game. Indeed. And as you said, Wrighty, they found the way, and they've got a set play goal again.
Yeah, which, judging by the way we were finishing today, it probably needed to be a set-piece goal. But again, the ball in from Martin Odegaard was something that, if we're going to really be critical about it, it should have been cleared. But in the end, they won the game, which is great. But I was a little bit more disappointed in the fact we've got to try and do more in respect of scoring goals. Because once it's 1-0 Gaffer, as we all know, it's never done. But we're just fortunate that Chelsea was so poor today again.
Yeah, no, very much so. I think they did enough, Arsenal. I think it was one of those performances where if you perform like that, they could have easily, against a better opposition on the day, probably would have lost the game maybe, because they were pretty ordinary themselves. But the set play has come up trumps for them. a slight change in what we said before. You know, they hadn't scored for some games now from set plays where they were very successful, and they just changed it. They all went to the near post, caught Chelsea out a little bit, and the goalkeeper started getting engaged in the players that were around him, which he shouldn't have done. And they end up, that's the difference between, you know, no points and getting the 3 points today. And it wasn't a great performance from Arsenal, but they'll be absolutely delighted. Play that average and win. That's what you need at this stage of the season. Yeah. Just to keep in that race, like we spoke before the game, you've got to still be in the race, just in case Liverpool do trip up.
Are you pleased with Mikel Merino? Because, as he said, I haven't played as a striker since the age of 8. He's been asked to do a job, and he's weighed in with a few goals now.
He has, and it's been brilliant for us because, again, you know, you've got somebody who's coming in and trying to fill a role, like we've seen Kai Havertz do so well. But what's good about Mikel Merino in that area as well is that his touch and his link-up play is very good as well. And he is that focal point just in case you do want to go long. But again, the goal he scored today was because it came from a set piece. It's not like in the game he was like, as a forward, he was dangerous or anything, but he was a focal point in the body that caused them problems for us.
He's played there 7 times now in all competitions. He's got 4 goals.
Brilliant.
I mean, from a midfield player who's not played up there, you know, it's totally foreign to him, really.
Well, it is really, but that's a massive plus for the manager. It's almost like the manager said, well, we'll see how he does. Might have to pull him out after 2 games, but he's affecting the game in such a positive way. Sometimes as a man, you think, well, that's another string to my bow. Yeah. And next time that happens, maybe next year possibly, we can play him up front. He knows how to, he's done it before and he's done a really good job. And as Ian says, he's not a centre-forward really that you expect to be going on the back of people and getting in behind, but he does it in a very subtle sort of way. The header was a clever header, actually. I mean, that could have been a number 9 type of header, wasn't it?
The way he made the move for it as well.
I don't think he's just flicking that either to the back post, because he knows they've all gone into the near post. And I think the set play wasn't about making runs from there round the back and getting to the back post for a flick on. He actually guides that into the back post. I think it's a really clever header.
Yeah.
He's almost flicked his head at it towards goal rather than just a straight flick on so that you get a second ball. But we studied, you know, Nkunku's position there. He's just got to stay there, look over his shoulder. A centre-forward going back, not knowing what to do really in that position. As the front shield, you don't let anyone across the front. And what does he do? He just comes back towards the pack of players and he just gets in front. It's a great header.
Yeah, it is a great header, but again, you know, it's attention to detail from Nkunku's point of view because the manager's put him there for that specific reason. And that's cost them the game. But again, you look at it, and I would say like Merino's movement off of Reece James was great movement and the ball was perfect. Only because Nkunku didn't do his job.
Yeah, I think it was clever of Arsenal just to change, just have a little change up. That caught Chelsea maybe. We analysed Sanchez as well, getting involved in the players. Why is he going there? He's getting dragged across to the near post.
Yeah.
Look, he's pushing someone there. I don't know who's pushing.
Should be back on the line there, Gav.
As a goalkeeper, Ian, I'm thankful that there's an in-swing and I've got no one round me. Yeah. So I'm coming away, I'm pulling away from them players. I don't want to get engaged in them. If like you put 3 players around him and it's going to be an in-swing, as a goalkeeper, you're not happy. Where he's thinking, really, I'm standing there thinking, yeah, great, I've got no one here. I'll come and punch that. I'll do whatever I need to do. He actually saves it if he's in the right position.
It was strange simply because, like you say, like the gaffer says, if you haven't got the players around you, like you've got their player, then your player in front of him trying to mark, it's brilliant for you. And if you look where he is, he's got so much space here. But he's gone over there to push. You think to yourself, no, just come back here, because from where Moreno would have headed that, he probably would have caught it. Because it's such poor goalkeeping at this level. It's not good enough.
Also, Ian, no one does it. No one does it anymore. But you put a player on the back post, he clears it.
Yeah.
There's so many goals going in the back post, and you think, why don't you just put one player there? You're defending your goal against the goalkeeper. Against the
might
goal.
as well do it. He could do it. Look.
Yeah.
You got Neto who could have picked up number 6. I know it's Gabriel, but if you've got somebody at the back, you should say, if you find yourself here, anyone, and the ball comes in, go on the back post, just as insurance. So from where you can see the player at the back there, whoever it was, there he is, number 4. Is that number 4? Number 6. Whoever number 6 there, Should have just backed off onto the back. Yeah, Levi Colwell.
Colwell
just go on the back post. That's natural as a defender. Once the ball's coming in, for you to just naturally go towards the goal so you can stop that from going in. A lot of mistakes there.
Yeah. Catalogue by the sounds of it, from Chelsea's point of view.
Yeah, they'll analyse that. I was watching, because I was watching the next corner, and then Cuckoo goes in a better position, still square on, not on the half turn, which he should have been, and it was a poor ball in, though, but he clears it, because he was in the right position in the front shield. No one gets across the front of you on that front shield, and if they're going to beat you, they've got to beat you over your head, so it's not a whipped-in ball. It's more sort of a floaty ball. Gives the keeper a chance, gives you a chance defensively. That's why you put a front shield in there. So he did the job a little bit better second half a couple of times, but it was really the delivery that was poor rather than him actually being really switched on, looking at it at half-time. Someone showing him and saying, you've got to be on the half-turn. You've got to see where runners are coming from. If you're square on looking at the taker, you don't know, and they've got to put that right. If you put an attacker back there, he's got to do the job.
Yeah.
He's got to become a defender for that corner. You know,
because like you said and rightly says, which is a really good point, is even with the goal, if you look where Mikel Merino headed it from, he actually was bending down to head it. So it's not like we're talking about a ball that's coming. If you watch when he comes in, and Nkunku if he just goes to his left, he heads that back out for another corner or whatever it is. Because when you watch how low this ball is, by the time it comes into Merino, once they play it on, here we go. Right, look how low, he doesn't have to jump, look. He's actually bending down to get it. So it's an easy one to actually clear.
Just looking at that again, I think Merino looks to go on the back of Nkunku, and he sees Nkunku just backing off and then decides at the last second, just nip in front. I think he saw a gap there, went for that gap, and then at the last minute, he just nips in front.
Yeah.
And that's the timing of the ball delivering. Look, let's have a look from this angle. We'll see it. He's having those little 50-50 back.
Yeah,
look, he runs it.
space,
Look, he's going in behind,
bang.
then he goes in front because that space is
Great
there.
movement right
all of a sudden, you know.
Really good movement right at the depth there for him.
Yeah.
All because Nkunku's in the wrong position.
Yeah. But that's instinct that you were saying that perhaps until he was put up there, we didn't know that he had.
Well, the thing is, what we've seen is that he's a very intelligent player, because even when you do watch him, when he's linking up the plays, the way he holds it up, by the time it does get to him, I watched it again when they play PSV, by the time he gets it, he's so composed and knows where he's passing it. That's exactly what Arsenal need in respect of keeping the ball up in that third, is something that we don't do well, because we haven't got a focal point. And he's the one, Kai Havertz isn't that player neither, where he links the play like Al Merino can do it. But Merino can do it in a way where you can get there because he will hold it and you can come and join him. And then all of a sudden, we're playing a bit further up.
And the other players will play to that strength when he's up there, because it's pointless, like you said earlier, trying to play balls in the channels and all that. He's not that type of player.
He's not going to be going off the back. It doesn't suit Odegaard, who wants to play that little ball, but it might suit other players that know that he looks like he can protect the ball. And when there's a midfield player, if you had a striker that was always going to protect it, you could make runs. And you don't think, is he going to give that? I won't make a run. Because if I go and he loses the ball or it comes off him, they're breaking, and now I'm wasting my energy. I've got to track him back. Ball into the front man, he's holding it up. You think, now I can actually support that play, and it goes to the next level then, and you're on the front foot. So that's important and that's what happens when the new player comes. You have to find that out. They didn't know that. Arteta's thrown him in up front, but actually the players are going, actually, he can play up there. We can make runs off him.
And I know what you mean. 1-0's never comfortable, but today was a day where you never really felt Chelsea were going to trouble Arsenal.
You did. You just feel like you could see, like I mentioned at the start, where Cole Palmer's not playing, where he would frighten me, just like Bruno Fernandes frightens you, because they can do something in the game now. Again, you're looking at a Chelsea side without Cole Palmer, they look very tepid, especially without Jackson, without Madueke, and then even if they had a Neto as well, them three up front with that pace, with Cole Palmer behind them, it's a whole different scenario for Arsenal. And a scenario I'm really pleased we didn't have to come up with today. But again, you look at the way we were finishing, we should have done more to make it comfortable for ourselves. But Chelsea, they're not a million miles away. I think they need some experience in their team to help that young side. But then you do need something that's going to make sure that Cole Palmer can be able to express himself in the players that he's got around him.
They just looked a bit sort of rudderless. You know, they had no rudder to their game. They had no guidance. They had no feel. You never saw them sort of having a spell in the game where they had a pattern of play and suddenly they took the ball away from Arsenal. Arsenal on the back, no, that never happened once, really. With the lack of experience, particularly in the back positions, you'd have thought Fernandes and Caicedo, those type of players, they've got to get hold of the ball and take the game by the... We're under the cosh here a little bit. We're not playing well, 1-0. Let's keep the ball. Let's get back in the rhythm of the game a different way. We haven't got Palmer. We haven't got the players that we want up front. They're out, so we've got to slightly play different, and that never really materialised.
I was a bit confused with their midfield because I didn't know, because Reece James was in there a lot, so he's probably the 6. So next to Caicedo, or is he the 6? And then Enzo Fernandez. So I didn't know how they were going to. Yeah, I didn't know how they were going to try and progress the ball because they haven't got the pace up front. They haven't got the players to play it through the midfield. So it was just going to be a matter of time. And if Arsenal were more ruthless, we could have shown them up for what they were today, because they were poor today, Chelsea.
Yeah, over the years, there's been some classic encounters in the Premier League between Arsenal and Chelsea. I'm not sure today was that with all the attacking talent that was missing in that game. But nonetheless, it's a win for Mikel Arteta's side. It keeps on the periphery of having some semblance of hope still maybe in the title race if I'm really trying to sell it.
Well, no, they're probably not in the title race anymore. But I do think finishing second wouldn't be, obviously you want to win the league, but if you don't have a striker, you're not going to win the Premier League. You think back to those, those great Chelsea, Arsenal teams. They had 4 strikers each, 4 and 5. So the fact that they're second without a striker, Chelsea obviously missing Nicholas Jackson is a big miss for them. But Arsenal that's a good win for them. Especially after a poor performance at Old Trafford, bouncing back, winning. And again, I think if they finish second, I think in a way that's a decent season for them. I know they want to win the Premier League, but you're not going to win it without a striker or 2 or 3.
No, I think Mikel Arteta knows that. You got a sense of that in his post-match interview at Old Trafford, where he was a little bit spiky when asked about not signing a striker in January, whether they were still in the title race or not. He's found a solution of sorts with Mikel Marino, but it's not classic Arsenal, is it really?
It's short-term, isn't it? It's a short-term fix. He's nicked himself a few goals and he puts himself into good goal-scoring positions, to be fair, as a midfielder. But if you're serious about it, you need a 25, 30 goal a season, number 9.
They've not even got that when everyone's fit.
No, and what they haven't got as well, they haven't got 25, 30 goals spread around, you know what I mean? So if you haven't got a number 9, you have to have people like Owen that play in midfield with your 8s and your 10s and stuff. And, there's not many like that. So everybody's got to chip in, but they're not.
It's weird that it's not been addressed, isn't it?
Well, it's weird that they don't... Never mind they don't have 1. It's weird that they don't have 3 or 4.
Yeah.
You think back, they had Henry, Beckham, Overmars, Wiltord, Anelka. You look at United, they had York, Cole, Sheringham, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You look at Chelsea. They had 4 and 5. Now teams don't have any. Yeah. Which I find really remarkable. And again,
at one point, he's picking between Aubameyang and Lacazette, isn't he? And obviously that was moved away from for numerous reasons, footballing and otherwise. But he's moved on to a system where the centre forward isn't a centre forward, and when you really need the sort of moments at the end of the season, even in the middle of the season, to make sure you're still in the title race, that seems to be where they're falling short.
But look, he likes ball players, which is fine. Kai Havertz is a number 10, or plays on the right and comes inside. But he's done a good job, I think, as a false striker. But sometimes you need a focal point. You need a Dion. You need a Osimhen. You need a Drogba type. Where they guarantee you 25 goals. I think Arsenal right now, they rely on 8 players getting you 8 or 10 goals, but actually in a game where you need to win, like at Old Trafford, you need a striker, and sometimes you need a bigger lad that you can cross it and get it in the box. So I wouldn't be surprised if they got a couple of strikers this summer.
Yeah, again, we're talking about the pieces missing for Arsenal, aren't we, to try and get them over the line to win the league. They did win today, in fairness. We're talking like they didn't in some ways. Marino, like we say, the match winner, Dion.
Yeah, listen, it's a set piece for Arsenal.
Great header.
It's not been working for a while. He gets himself at the near post. What he does, he just goes into an area that ball's been put there purposely. He's been told to go there purposely. Listen, he's not looking to flick that at the far post. He's looking to get onto it and what we call the eyebrows, just give it a little flick on, and it just ends up going in the goal. I think the movement's brilliant, but it's a poor goal to concede for Chelsea. It really is.
Yeah, Chelsea will focus in on definitely, Owen, because they were another team who, I don't know, 2-3 months ago were looking like they were going to mount a title challenge, but it's just drifted for them. And you know, the moments in the game today where you're looking at Wesley Fofana, you're looking at the goalkeeper Rob Sanchez as well, and they just look like they've just slipped a little bit under Enzo Maresca.
Oh no, they slipped big time. But again, I thought they overachieved at the start of the season, and I think, whether you agree with the manager or not, he didn't think they were ready for a title race because they were too young. They have an issue with the goalkeeper, that's for sure. You're not going to win a Premier League without a world-class goalkeeper. And since Nicholas Jackson's gone down, they haven't had anybody step in. Him and Cole Palmer had a great understanding. Since he's gone out, Cole Palmer's gone quiet too. And again, his form wasn't sustainable. He was playing at a Player of the Year level. So I think Chelsea to be fourth right now, I think that's a good season for them. But they'll get a goalkeeper, they'll get a striker in the summer, and then I think they'll be back in that top four race next season.
It is strange that we look at Chelsea and we go, we're not quite there yet, but like, they're fourth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're fourth, and we've got...
Well, from the start of the season, they'd be delighted with this. It's just 100%. The fact that in November time, it was looking like it could be more than just fourth.
Yeah, but again, you have to cut your cloth and, you you realise where you are and what stage of your development that you're in. They're in the early stages, and they have to try and get players of Cole Palmer's standard and more, especially up front, if they want to get in that same bucket as Liverpool and City.
Is it consistency with Sanchez, do you think? Is that what's missing from his game to mean that they need a goalkeeper still to be able to push on that bit more?
Just little mistakes. He makes little mistakes, little decisions. He sometimes takes too long with the ball at his feet, and he nearly gets it closed down. I mean, look at that ball.
He makes quite big ones, Dion.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to try and, you have to clear your lines there. You've got to know that you haven't got to pass on. Clear your lines and, stop the ball going in the back of the net, which he does do well as well.
At times he makes some great saves.
Yeah.
He's got great reactions, but the one thing, I think back to some of the goalkeepers I played with, Edwin van der Sar. He was so calm, it was ridiculous. It was like he was having a cup of tea back there. Whereas Sanchez, you look, it's like, it looks quite, look, he's making saves, but it's not the most easy on the eye. And I think if you look back to what they've had again, we're talking about Drogba, Czech. That's an amazing save, by the way. Yeah. But he's got to make the easy ones, and he's got to stop making mistakes. I would be shocked. I mean, you see that graphic there,
That tells the story, doesn't it?
And you can't make... You can make one or two or three. It happens, But if you're making 8, you're chasing games all the time. And this Chelsea team were playing terrific at the start of the season. Young team. You start making mistakes, you start getting results, and then they don't really have the leaders in there, the Drogbas or the John Terrys or the Macauley's or Lampards. So I think they've learned that they probably need some leadership. They need some older players, but they definitely need to address the goalkeeper position.
Yeah.
Czech, it needs to be of the Czech level, Peter Cech.
Cole Palmer missing today, Dion. Enzo Maresca's not sure yet quite how severe his injury is. There wasn't much detail on it. Apparently he's having a scan and they're going to see after the international break where they are. I mean, if they are to qualify for the Champions League, getting him back fit and firing is absolutely vital.
Yeah, because, as young as he is, he's the player that everybody looks to. They just want...
talisman, isn't he?
Yeah, and they're trying... Where is he? Just roll the ball to him, he'll make something happen. But when he gets it, he needs to have players around him on his wavelength. I mean, Owen just mentioned Jackson there, who's not playing at the moment.
No.
When they were both playing, he would look for him because he's got the tools, Cole, to find the centre forward. If you've got no one to find and no one making runs and no one on your wavelength, it's going to be really difficult. So that's the standard, Ian.